up, everybody? I'm your host, Dani La Shay of WebCelebDaily.com, bringing you the hottest in entertainment and celebrity news. We're starting a new YouTube series called Dishing With Dani, and today is our first episode. And as you can see, we have a special guest from a very hit show that I'm sure you all know, Raising Kanan. We have London Brown, who plays Uncle Marvin. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me. I appreciate it. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I heard that you're from LA. What part of LA are you from?
I'm from South Central LA, just right in the hood.
Yeah. So what was life like for you growing up in LA?
You know, it was just it didn't really seem like anything different until I started to get around and see other places. But honestly, it was just a lot of gangs, and just like any hood, a lot of gangs, a lot of street people and stuff like that. But it didn't even really feel like anything like that because I was so used to it. So to me, I was just growing up, it just felt like a black neighborhood to me. But I didn't know until later on. I was like, man, we stayed next door to some gang members, down the street from another set of gang members, went to school. You got to pass all the different hoods getting to school. So you just got to learn, you learn quickly what the street codes are and trying to move about so you can stay alive, basically. Right. But it was great, man. I liked it. I liked my childhood.
Well, that's awesome. Now, did you have a passion for acting when you were coming up?
I don't know if it was passion for acting per se, but it was just to be an artist. So, at the time, I didn't even know it was a craft or anything. I just thought that, basically I do a church play for Easter or something like that. The school play, I was supposed to be like the Scarecrow and the Wiz. And so I just knew that performing just felt like my proclivity as far as being in front of people. I wasn't shy to do that kind of thing. So if anything, it was just fun to me. And then I realized later on that it actually was like an art. I didn't know. I just thought you just get in front of people and you perform, and that was that. But it was always something there. I will say it was something there.
Okay. Now I love to hear about beginnings. How did you get your start in the industry?
As far as my first professional, it started in theater. I started doing theater early on. And in high school, I was on the road doing some stuff. And then, but as far as TV, that kind of started in on my first TV show, called The Hustle. That was 2012, something like that. And shout out to Prentice Penny. Prentice Penny is also a showrunner for Insecure with Issa. So shout out to them. So he gave us a shot, us as the actors on that show, because nobody knew us. We didn't have no resumes, nothing like that, nothing, profound. So the fact that we didn't have a resume was what allowed me to book that gig. But that also set me up for the other projects, So, but it kind of, I would like to say it started with theater first. I was working at, and then messed around, did a showcase, got an agent, and I auditioned for The Hustle, and it worked out that way.
Okay. Now I know that you also did stand-up. Now, how did you end up getting linked up with Chris Tucker? Because that's a big deal with opening up for him.
So I first started with stand-up. I was doing stand-up. At the time I was a teacher. And so when I was teaching, yes, a whole lot to unpack, but I'm gonna try to keep it, short. But I was a teacher at the time. He had a talent show. I think the principal, somebody signed me up to do the comedy fundraiser show. I did that. I was like, oh shoot, this is my niche. So I started working clubs, open mics, stuff like that. I was doing the Hollywood Improv at the time on a Monday night. And actually I just went to support my friend, Brandon Lewis. And he's from Atlanta. He was doing stand-up and at the club that night. So comedian D-Ray Davis said, yo, have you met Chris Tucker before? I said, yeah, I met him. He's cool, He said, but hasn't seen your act. I was like, nah, I ain't seen it yet. So he pushes me onto the stage. I stumble onto Chris, and basically Chris was just like, all right, man, go ahead and do 5 minutes. So I do my 5 minutes, and we exchanged numbers after that. He called around to see if I was solid and thorough on, on stage and off stage, see what my vibe was. and he called me to do some dates, and we toured for like 3 years. And
Wow.
so major shout out to him. Yeah, we still good friends and all of that. So major shout out to him because he gave me an opportunity to really get on the road and, you know, rap. So it's been a journey, but major shout out to him.
Yeah. What gems do you would you recall, if you can, that he has taught you or passed down to you?
He gave me he gave me 3 crucial ones, which was he always told me to stay humble, keep God first, and stay focused. And I still use those 3. You know, I try to make that a daily practice, to stay humble, keep God first, and stay focused. So that was very solid for him.
Yeah, I love that.
Was first work. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Now let's talk Ballers. Now, you played Reggie on Ballers, and you had that character that everyone loved to hate.
Yeah.
So I did see an interview where you said that you chose that role because it was so opposite of you, of your how you are in real life. What did you learn from that role? Because you said you were getting like a lot of hate, like from people just off the streets.
You know, the thing about that project is, yeah, I'm not anything like Reggie, but that's why I like the part, because Reggie was popping off and just talking and all in the way and all in the mix, which is not my style at all. But it was cool to play somebody like that. That worked out because basically that character's only supposed to be in a couple episodes, and then it worked out where they made him one of the stars of the show, and it really played in my favor. But it was important for me to really keep that character interesting so that he could be around. You know what I mean? So that attitude, that snarky attitude that I gave him, was just, again, to build some energy around him. And fortunately, all my scenes in the first season was opposite of Dwayne. So it was a good look for me to get that look, because even if you didn't want to see me, you had to, because you was looking at Dwayne, so you saw me. So it really played in my favor. That was just God working his magic on it. But as far as that part, it just, if anything, it just reinforced me as an artist on my choices, because they kept a lot of my choices that weren't scripted. And so it just made me feel like, as long as I stay ready, I ain't got to get ready. I remember at the time I was in theater classes and just making sure I was on my craft. So when that opportunity came up, I was ready to get busy. And that, I think that preparation kind of just set me up for the other things I did after that.
That's dope. So what was it like going toe to toe with The Rock? Like, what was his presence being there? Like, did he walk around like The Rock, the wrestler?
Right. That's the thing, is Dwayne Johnson and The Rock are 2 different people. I thought I was going to meet The Rock, but I didn't. Dwayne Johnson, a lot more reserved, really cool guy, nice guy overall and everything. And, we talked quite a bit, on set, but he was cool, man. I learned some more focus from him. Chris Tucker dropped the seed. He planted the seed of the focus. But I remember one day we had to get up on our call time for set was like something like 5 a.m, whatever. And I got up to get some water, and I saw Dwayne Johnson in the gym. It was like 3 or 4. I'm like, man, in the gym this early? And I was like, man, if he can do it, I definitely got to do it. So I started going to the gym, before I would get to set as well. That's just another thing to help your mental get right. So by the time you get on set, you are very sharp and alert. So I owe another shout out to Dwayne and he never even told me this, but just watching how he moved just reinforced my focus that Chris Tucker planted. So I'm watching these guys, man, just grabbing what I can grab to keep it going. So not to be verbose, but to answer your question, I just learned a lot of stuff off stage and off screen and how I want to deal with people when it's my time to be in that position. So a lot of little nuggets from those 2.
Okay, nice. So I want to talk about something. While you were filming, you were also mourning the passing of your brother.
Yeah.
How did you channel that to stay focused on set? Because most people would have taken a hiatus and, taken that time away. Like, what made you decide to keep pushing and not let that consume you from or take you away from your craft?
You know, it's funny you said it, because I never once even thought about a hiatus. That wasn't even an option, which is wild. But I think for me, losing my brother, I just had to make a choice on what I was going to do with that energy, which is, am I going to go into a depressed place where some people go? But that's not really my style anyway. So what I just decided to do was, my brother's death just brought out a lot more. It made me way more empathetic to people's issues or whatnot, pain. And it also made me, I got just even more passionate, because I realized with my brother that we don't know how long we're gonna be here.
Right.
So time became more precious to me. So how I was occupying my time started to matter to me. So I just I remember doing, when we was actually shooting, I didn't cry at all because I didn't even know how to cry. Because especially, I mean, as men, but especially as Black men, we're conditioned and we're taught not to cry. And you growing up in the hood, you really don't cry. I didn't even, up until my brother, I thought something was medically wrong because I hadn't cried, outside of acting or anything like that. So I was like, what's up with that? But so I had to learn how to cry. So while I was filming, I didn't cry. I didn't even mourn. I just, I buried my brother and then moved back to Miami to finish filming. And then the last day of shooting, which was episode 2, episode 2, I think, of the second season. Episode 2 of the second season is when I there's a scene where me and my best friend on the show, shout out to Donovan Carter, my character shoots his character with a paintball gun and I injure him. And that was the first time I had cried, because I had I wore a mask so nobody could see anything underneath that mask in the scene. So it was a weird place, because I was in the best place of my life as far as my career, but I was at the saddest place in my life at the same time. So it was a very interesting dynamic. But I know a lot of people were praying for me and stuff like that. So between that, keeping busy, I was straight. I got through it. So
Gotcha.
the process.
Now, has his case been solved or is it still open?
It's still open.
If anyone has like any tips, if they see this interview and they decide that they want to come forward with anything, who could they call or where can they go to submit that information?
I mean, it's different. I would say I probably would encourage people, just hit me up, just DM me or something, and let me know it's good, because and then from there I can direct people, because they got different sheriff departments and big names and busy people to handle all the detail stuff. But if somebody know anything, please let us know. Let me know. I know a lot of people know my family too, so just reach out to us, and we'd appreciate that. You know what I mean? Just to give peace to, bring some sort of peace to the family. That'd be good, man.
Definitely. I saw on YouTube that they had like different tributes going out to him. People spoke very highly of him, and he was very well spoken. So
yeah, absolutely. That's love. That's love, man. People showed a lot of love, but that's why, for me, it changed my life in the sense that it made me start thinking about how I want to be remembered. So I moved a lot differently because of that. Because I'm like, man, he got a lot of love. People care. I'm like, I want to be a kinder person, and respecting all those kinds of things that he got. And I was like, yeah. So those are all the residual things that come out of it. That's not, people just think of it. They only think of it as only the sad parts, but there are some positives that come out of when we lose people. It just depends on how we want to look at it and how we want to internalize that. So but hopefully people they hear something, give us a shout. We'll, we appreciate that.
Yeah. So what advice would you have to young men, teenagers, youth that are struggling with being able to get those type of emotions out? Being that you are right, as Black people, Black men, you are taught to conceal those type of emotions. What advice would you give to someone?
I think the main thing is to talk about it. Or if you're not a person who talks about it, some sort of outlet if that means journaling, I do stand-up. So just working, I was able to also help with my emotions as far as being able to keep in an upbeat mood for making other people laugh. That helped me. And then, because at first I couldn't even talk about my brother. I couldn't watch anything that related to anything he did. He did basketball. I couldn't watch the Lakers game. I couldn't hear it. You got to go through a process of, of that. But after that, talking about it when other people lose people helped me get through it, because people think what tends to happen sometimes is when we lose people. At first I didn't understand, like, why would somebody want to talk about the loss of someone that they love? But then I realized that what happens sometimes is when you talk about people that you've lost, you begin to bring up the positive stories about the person. And those positive stories help you to get through, because they put you in a feel-good mood when you think about the good times and the laughs in these moments. So I would say to anybody, if they're going through something, find an outlet, find some friends you can trust, and not necessarily even all the friends who got advice for you, but sometimes you just want somebody just to hear you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Yeah, what's on your mind? You just want to get some stuff off your chest. So I would encourage that, man. Do something, do some things that you love to do, just to keep your vibes up, but also find an outlet. Like I said, a solid friend, journal, put it in poetry, put it in something maybe artistic, put it in music. Because a lot of songs that we love come out of pain, or a lot of the movies and different things we really appreciate, they were birthed out of pain, and something reviving about being able to express yourself in that kind of way. So I would encourage it that way.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So let's talk about Raising Kanan. Now, that show took off. People had a lot of expectations comparing it to Power. How did you end up even landing the role of Marvin?
At the time, I had just lost my agents, and my manager called. She said, "Yo, there's another agent who would like to work with you. He's excited about your work. He's familiar with you from Ballers, and so we should meet with him." I said, "All right." I met with him. Right off the rip, it was cool. It was good vibes. And then he said, "Yo, man, I got this project for you." And I didn't know what I had never watched. I still haven't watched Power. I haven't watched Raising Kanan yet either, low key. But I haven't watched the show. I know I got to get around to it. But I hadn't watched Power before, so I didn't watch Power because at the time I was working on Ballers. So I was excited to be on Ballers, but I really wanted to be on Power. Mm-hmm. So, but I was grateful for where I was, but I really wanted to be on Power because I knew the people that I hung out with watched Power. It was always Power, Game of Thrones, and Ballers, the ones I would hear. Mm-hmm. And so because I wanted to do the show so badly, I didn't look at it. I just let it be. So when it came around and it said Raising Kanan, I didn't even know it was a spinoff or anything, a prequel. I didn't know nothing. I just thought, I knew it was something connected to Power, but I had no idea. Because at the time, there were billboards and everything saying season finale of Power. So I thought Power was just done. I didn't know anything about the spinoffs. Then I auditioned. It's like a 2-month process. They called me and said, "Yo, you got the part. Got to move to New York and all of that." I was like, "All right, bet." And then even while I was shooting, I still didn't know what I was a part of the Power universe and that whole sort of thing. But it worked out because I had a really good agent who made sure that he did his part on the paperwork and as far as getting me the audition. I did my job as far as being prepared for it, and it just worked out. So blessingly, God just arranged all of it and it lined up. So I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for the part.
Yeah. So being from Cali, how did you prepare to be a drug dealer from New York? Like, how did you prepare for that role?
It's been a process because sometimes during my act, I talk about Denzel Washington. And so I had some ideas of the verbiage just from when I would talk about Denzel Washington and I talk about how Denzel Washington, he has a lot of the way he talks and he elongates vowels, boom. So I would be impersonating him in the clubs. So I had some idea of the accent, even though he's from Mount Vernon, I still had some of what I was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it started with that, but then also just to get into a mental zone, I was just listening to a lot of Nas.
Okay.
That helped. And then also just being around the culture and talking to people and just really figuring it all out. But I grew up around a lot of street people, like I said, because I grew up in the hood.
Right.
And then when I was younger, I used to cut hair at rehab centers. So I used to hang around ex-gang members, drug addicts, prostitute, dope fiends, people from the mafia, and all kind of different street people, because of, like I said, I used to hang out in his rehab and cut hair. So these older guys, gave me a lot of game. So I was able to pull some stuff from them, from my past and stuff like that. But then also just immersing myself in the culture and really just being around it. That's why, it really helped to just be in New York, as opposed to sometimes I've done that before. My first TV show, it was based in New York, but we filmed it in LA. So it's a different, but just being here in New York, you get to really take it all in, pause, and just really get the vibe of the people. And so fortunately, it's been a work in progress. But I think people enjoy the character, so it helps.
For sure. Now, do you relate to Marvin in any way?
I relate to Marvin in a lot of ways. Little things like Marvin is a well-kept, groomed kind of a guy. And I brought a lot of that to Marvin. Marvin likes nice clothes. I appreciate clothes. Marvin keeps a clean car. I like a clean car. And the loyalty to the family. I'm very loyal to, when it comes to my friends and family, I hold them down. So those things. Now, some of the nefarious things that he gets into, I ain't out here to shoot nobody, because I ain't trying to do that with nobody, or to nobody. I ain't trying to be on that side of it. But I do back up my, I support my friends and my family. So the heart of Marvin is there, but all the domestic issues, violence, and all of that, I ain't with none of that. And that's the stuff that was that was a stretch of the character, but yeah, me and Marvin got a lot of things in common, man. Marvin likes to have a good time. Marvin tries not to stress too much, keeps things light. And he's there. He is there. And I like to think that I'm there for my friends.
Okay. Now, he is a bit of a wild card. What did you think about the scripts? Like when you started to read, like his outrageous, like when he just went and shot up Unique's car with kids in there, like like, has there been a scene or a part of the script where you just like, damn, this shit is wild?
First of all, shout out to Sasha Penn. Sasha Penn is the EP on the show, head writer and everything. And he and the team of writers, they just, man, they some dope writers, man. And I'm glad that they're open to collaborating, as far as like, if the dialogue is something that's weird or interesting, they at least will talk to us. Because sometimes people don't want to talk about it. Just you stick to what you got to say. But they allow me to stretch and, and really get into the groove of the character. But then also, when it came down to the jukebox scene, and for those who may watch this who hadn't seen the show yet, when it comes down to that stuff, that was hard to do, because I was like, man, are they just putting drama in the show just to have drama, or what is this grounded to? Because Marvin never even hangs out with his daughter, so it's like, dang, why all of a sudden the first time he really hangs with her, or they connect, they going at it.
Right.
But I spoke to my friends, like people I know in the LBGT who worked on the show. And I talked to him, I said, yo, how real is this? And it was like, man, it's still very real that, kids come out to they folks and they get violent like that. And I was like, man, but once I talked to them and they let me know that it was a real thing, I was like, all right, it is real. So now I just got to tap into that pain. And I ain't hit no woman, nothing like that. But I understand what it's like to be upset, and also I think the 90s. Parents in the 90s weren't liberal like they are today. Today, kids can do whatever they want to do, be whoever they want to be, and that's just that. But 91 parents black parents was not going for that.
Not
you
at
know,
all.
everybody knew somebody in their community or their family. We said, okay. And we didn't even know black people were so out of touch with that whole thing. We didn't even give them a name. We just said them over there or they a little, and we didn't even say anything. We just moved our hand like this. And everybody knew what that language was. We like, oh, they little. And it was just, we didn't even talk, none of that. So when we go back to 91, Marvin didn't even know, people laugh about the line, but Marvin didn't even really know what to call her. He that's why he said Lebanese, it just overwhelmed him. I think there's part of Marvin that felt a little guilty.
Yeah.
Maybe thinking like, what did I do? Or could I have done something more? But at the same time, he's not really there because he's in the streets. He's he don't know if he's looking at a school project. Maybe they just singing, but is there something? He didn't know what was going on. So he just, and if I spit on him, Marvin is an alpha male. Marvin is not somebody that you gonna talk to crazy. Marvin is a real street dude. So when she spit on him, by the time he just snapped. But I also want people to realize too, Marvin didn't just snap. And then after doing that, after getting physical with the daughter, and then go sit down and go watch the game, he was distraught. He was hurt. He broke down. He cried. He realized, oh shoot, I done messed up, because now he realizes that's something that he's gonna have to always deal with. You can't erase stuff like that. People can apologize, but that don't mean that the scar from that pain isn't there. And that was a side of Marvin. That was another layer of Marvin that played out on camera. People got to actually see him deal. People are now going to watch him deal with the repercussions of that action. And I hope that when people watch it, people are able to really think about. Hopefully, somebody saw themselves like, "Oh shoot, that's what I look like when I did this to my daughter or to some woman or somebody I know. I look crazy." And it is a real thing. Domestic violence, stuff like that is a real thing, man. So I hope people out here get some help, or if they with somebody, get some help, man, and talk out your issues and get it worked out, man. So you ain't got to keep going down that path.
Definitely. When I saw the scene, I was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, it is so real. It's happening every day, whether people know it or not. So I'm definitely glad that they chose that kind of scene to be a part of the show, for sure. Now, besides yourself, who else in the show is your favorite character and why?
Favorite character on the show, it'd probably be Rock. Rock, because she just so. First of all, shout out to her. Her birthday was yesterday. Rock is just Patina, I should say. Patina Miller is just so strong. She's a strong Black woman. Holding it down, good attitude, professional, always prepared and on her stuff. And so I'm so glad to be a part of a cast where we have a leader like that who shows up and shows out. And I'm excited to carry my weight or stand beside her and do what I need to do to make sure I'm giving her all the whatever she needs in the scene when it comes to us. So I just really like, and then I like the character too. I like, sometimes we be in a scene together and she be going off on my character and almost have like these out of body moments where I'm standing there as Marvin, but I kind of dip out of the scene mentally sometimes. And I'm just looking at Rock go off on Marvin like, yeah, Marvin, you done messed up. And your sister is, the way she goes off is just so strong. And my mother's strong. So, I've always could appreciate strong women. You know what I mean? I'm not the guy who feel weird that there's a woman leading the ship or there's a woman she's the boss or whatever. I don't care. I think it's dope. So I don't ever feel no type of way. So the fact that this show made her, the fact that she's the star of the show, the lead of the show as a woman, I've nicknamed her the queen because I just see her as the queen. I just cheer her on, and I can go on and be vociferous about how dope I think she is. You know what I mean? I really support her. I just really support her, and I support the whole cast. Man, everybody just comes to work, good vibes, no ego and all that silly stuff. Everybody just cool.
Awesome.
And I appreciate that kind of atmosphere. But it starts, I'm saying that to say, because it starts with her. If she came in all crunchy in the morning, all weird, she would set the whole tone for everybody. But she's professional, and I respect that.
I love that, because she definitely, that was one of the questions actually I was going to ask you about her. Like, she comes off with this air about herself, right? Like, even with the character. And as I watch her, and then I follow her on social media, and I'm like, I bet you she's like this boss ass bitch in real life, for real. You know, like she's very confident, and I love it. I love how strong she is. Yeah,
I love it too. And like I said, the fact that she got a good attitude with it, I almost see her like, I almost really do see her like my sister. Like I feel like there's a part of me, and she might not even know, but there's a part of me that feels like I want to protect her. Or as even though we just working with me on set and everything, she does feel like a sister to me, in the sense that, you know, however Marvin is on the show, is how I really feel about for her. As far as like, I would open the door for her, or I would stand in front of her, or anything, because just like my sister. So it's a lot of respect there.
Yeah. Now, LaToya Luckett is going to be Jukebox Moms next season. Can you tell me about what kind of dynamic we can expect between Marvin and her?
We just did something, recently. We worked together, and as far as this project, and I think what people can expect is, at some point, they got to talk out their issues. And because we there's still more story to tell on why the mom ain't been around, and why Jukebox and Marvin don't get along, and what's all of that about. So I think season 2, and I'm saying think because we don't get the scripts super ahead of time.
Okay.
So it ain't like we get all 10 episodes and we just know. We don't really know until they give it to us maybe a day before, and we learn our stuff and we make it happen. But I'll say this, that I think that they got to address their issues and answer some questions. I know Marvin got some questions. I'm sure Jukebox got some questions and all of that. So it'd be interesting to see how they unfold the story, because I still don't really quite know all the details of anything yet. But I know definitely questions are going to be asked and answered.
Yeah. Okay. So we all know 50 from social media. Everybody calls him an asshole. Everybody calls him petty and stuff like that. You know, he's very good for entertainment for sure. But what's on set 50 like?
With me, he's always been good energy with me. We've had some very solid talks. He's dropped some game on me a couple of times, and just, so I just, when it comes to 50, I really just try to listen. As opposed to going back and forth. I mean, we have our conversations, but I really just try to listen. That's my job. And so I'm not trying to be necessarily buddy with him, or on that level of it. I just do my job and stay out the way and listen. So when he's come on set, the days I was shooting, he was cool. Good vibe, good energy. And people gotta understand, the dude he's a smart dude. Like, after all the gimmicks and what people call petty and the antics on social media, we gotta understand the guy's making moves. Like, after all the shenanigans, you gotta say, yo, this dude has so many different TV projects on air.
Yeah.
And I'm moving, and Raising Kanan hit some dumb numbers, as far as each weekend the number was just growing and the audience was sticking with us. And we got to back to him for knowing which projects to stand with and supporting the push and how he's doing. And so I got respect for his business savvy stuff, and even with the gimmicks, because even like I said, even though people, if they look at the surface, they like, oh man, 50 just being petty and he just being silly. But he got you talking about him. He's on everybody's radar
all the time.
I'm like, and it's not just once in a while, he's there all the time. So he's doing something right, because he's moving, he's making these moves happen. So I tip my hat.
For sure. Now, I know you said you haven't seen Power yet, or Raising Kanan. Have you seen any episodes of BMF?
I haven't. Oh, you know what? That's not true. My castmate, shout out to Malcolm. He showed me an episode. We was on set one day. He showed me an episode of, I think Meech was trying to give his dad some money about something, and the dad just went off and didn't want the money or whatever it was, or something about the job. I saw a little quick clip, you know. So shout out to all of them over there, man, and being able to tell that story, and, you know, because they on STARZ too. So shout out to them.
For sure. You know, that's my hometown of Detroit. So
Oh,
I definitely, I like how they're going with the storyline. But you got to catch up, man. You got to watch BMF. You got to watch Power. You got to watch
TV. That's the problem.
Okay. Well, I don't blame you. It's nothing wrong with that. It definitely takes you. It can be a distraction. And it definitely can, you know, take you to somewhere else. Because I have to find myself sometime. I'm like, whoa. I'm on episode 32. Let me pause.
Oh, yeah. I know, right?
Let me pause and take a break. So I totally understand. So what else are you working on? What can we expect? Any new projects or what movies?
Well, right now, everything contractually, I have to kind of be here. But also, I guess at the same time, you know, working on my stand-up too, because this project takes so much time and the schedules are always so weird. But I'm just getting back into my stand-up grooves and writing a lot, so that, you know, in between this, or especially when we finish shooting the second season, I'll be, you know, nice and ready for the clubs again. So that's kind of the main focus, is working on my writing and while doing this.
Okay. All right. Well, I have to ask you, top 5 comedians in order.
All right. Top 5 comedians in order. For me, I'm gonna go with Richard. I'm gonna go with Richard. I'm gonna go with Eddie. Richard, Eddie, Patrice O'Neal. Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, Patrice O'Neal. I'm gonna go with Paul Mooney.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Paul Mooney. And then I gotta go with Chappelle.
Have to.
I gotta go with Chappelle. And I probably would even change up the order a little bit, because, you know, what Chappelle has been able to do is just like, you know, he's able to, the fact that he just tells us truth, but just also the way his penmanship is, his angles is like, it's to the point where sometimes it's not even about being funny. It's just like, dang, it's just nice to know that his point of view is what becomes interesting. When you get to that level, you want to hear him talk. You don't matter what the topic is, you just want to ask questions like, yo, so what you think about this? And you just want to hear the angle on it. And that's what a lot of them, that's why I chose Patrice O'Neal, just his angles on things. And the fact that even with Paul Mooney, even though he never was like as big as Kevin Hart or even Martin or anything, but the fact that he just kept true to himself, that's the hard part in this game. And even especially now, you really can't. And it's like, dang, the fact people don't even understand, like, if you keep censoring, this is my whole thing. I'm always a big supporter of freedom of speech, as far as you can say whatever you want to say. You want to be a racist, you want to be a bigot, whatever you want to say. Cool, say that, because I want to say whatever I want to say. So I'm like, go ahead, please say what you want to say. That don't mean I'm gonna find it funny. It don't mean I'm gonna listen to you. You got your audience, who you got your audience for. I ain't got that's cool. I just ain't got to go to your show. But I be able to say what I want to say. So we start saying, let's just say that white person can't make that racist joke, and he can't say the N-word, and that white comedian can't say the N-word. Say whatever you want to say, because I want to say what I want to say. So I'm gonna let you have your piece, but don't bother me when I have my piece. Right. And that's how I feel about the whole thing. So that's why I'm like, man, let this dude. I'm like, come on, folks. If we start censoring everything, we ain't gonna have no problem. We gonna, like, what we gonna get to? It's like, yo, we can't keep doing this, man. If you really got a problem with it, go ahead and be a stand-up and you share your piece. And I feel that way with social media and different pages. People be mad at this page for posting this and that. I'm like, listen, as opposed to going on a page to complain, you ain't got to follow them. That's too much energy anyway. I'm like, just have your point of view on your page. I ain't gonna knock you, don't knock mine. But everybody don't see it that way. I get it.
Social media definitely gives everyone a voice, and they feel that it has to be heard. You can't just scroll past. I get a lot of that being a Black media outlet. I get other Black people come into comments saying like, oh, you shouldn't have posted that story, or oh, you shouldn't have said this, but they don't give TMZ that same energy. They don't give Entertainment Tonight and everyone else that same energy. So I definitely understand what you're talking about. And it's like the more as the world, quote unquote, evolves, we are getting more limited with our freedoms every day. Every day. Yeah. Well, I definitely appreciate you taking the time out of your day, London, to speak with me. Where can everybody follow you on social media and keep up with you? Because I know you're going to be posting shows soon for your stand-up.
Yes. I'm at Real London Brown. At Real London Brown. That's Snap, IG, Twitter, whatnot. But I'm around, man. I interact, I answer questions and all that kind of stuff. So I try to be very present.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. I really appreciate that. Everybody stay tuned for season 2 of Raising Kanan. When can we expect that?
Next summer. We're working on it right now. We're knocking it out, getting it done. So next summer should be a hot summer for Raising Kanan, and y'all should enjoy it, man.
Okay, awesome.
Yo, this is London Brown, aka Uncle Marvin from Raising Kanan, and I'm dishing with Dani for WebCelebDaily. Boom.